evening, everybody, and welcome to the Toon review for tonight's Newcastle United 4, Tottenham 0 match review. And it feels so good to be able to do that and say that and actually celebrate over the weekend, you know, a brilliant performance, a brilliant result, and we're very happy. Now, Alex will be with us in just a second. Sam's away till Wednesday night when we're doing Howe the Lasses, which should be an absolutely great show. We've got a guest coming on as well. In fact, Stato is with us right now. Good evening.
Evening, how are we doing?
Hi, Sao.
We are groovy, man. We are groovy. But thank you very much for tuning in on this Sunday evening. If you do enjoy tonight's show, of course, do hit that thumbs up button. Very important to the channel that we keep those coming in. And if you are new and like what you see, please do what over 100 people did yesterday, is subscribe to the channel. Free to do so. Come and be part of this amazing community on the Toon Review. But don't forget to hit the notification bell, which will let you know when we upload any recordings or we schedule in our live shows, which are most nights every week. You can, of course, become a member of the Toon Review by hitting that join button just below us. Lots of prizes coming up in the next few days for our members, so get joined. And, of course, you can donate to the show, to the channel, sorry, if you do so wish tonight by hitting that $ at the bottom of the live comments. And that will guarantee your comment to be read out on the show. First of all, though, I'm sure that everyone will agree, we have to congratulate the women today. An absolutely unbelievable performance. 10-0 over Huddersfield. They've won the title in style. They go up to the championship next season. And absolutely brilliant performance from Becky's team today. The celebrations were absolutely immense. It was great to see. It was just unbelievable. And hopefully now the Lasses will go on from strength to strength. And obviously we're going to cover that a lot more on Wednesday's Howe the Lashes show with myself and Sam. We hopefully have a guest coming on as well. So it's going to be a great show. 7 o'clock on Wednesday night, where we will be celebrating the Lasses' performance and talk a lot more about it. But we have to start with saying a huge congratulations to them. Now, I'm going to go on a little bit of a rant here, and I know Evermore have already done this. I think it was Chris that did it earlier on, and I've seen some comments in the chat already regarding Match of the Day last night. You should be ashamed of yourselves, Match of the Day. That was absolutely laughable. It was pathetic. It was absolutely shocking the way you spoke about that game. Everything was about what Tottenham didn't do and how badly they played. They made a couple of nice sayings about Isak, but where on earth was mentioned about the special shirts Newcastle had on? You know, all of that was not included, and that is just shambolic from the BBC, and they should be absolutely ashamed of themselves. You know what Newcastle United Football Club did yesterday for the deaf people was incredible. And you know, TNT Sports highlighted it throughout the match, which was brilliant of them. Absolutely hats off to TNT because they regularly showed, you know, those deaf fans celebrating with the families, and they could feel the you know, vibrations or whatever they were through however they did it. It was absolutely brilliant, and so massive hats off to TNT for promoting it. But I'm sorry, Match of the Day, you are pathetic. Absolutely pathetic. It should be ashamed of yourselves, quite honestly, because that was laughable. I know Sky are all for bloody all these cartel clubs and stuff like that, but I never thought I'd have a rant about Match of the Day, which is, you know, been on for years and years, and I was brought up with Match of the Day and things like that, and then it's absolute bollocks. So I just wanted to start off with that, just to see how pathetic you are and how ashamed you should be of not even covering that. Fair enough, you don't want to talk about Newcastle's performance, whatever, but not including what the club did for those deaf kids was incredible. Not even mentioning it. Absolute bollocks, man. Bull rot to the whole lot of yous. Anyway, we got a couple of Fozman's gifted a Toon Review membership. Thank you, Fozman. Channel Right, thank you for your super chat. Congratulations to Newcastle women. And Kush de la Kush, thank you for your super chat. Bit early, but Gordon, man of the match for me. 2 assists and is the driving force in this team. Not to mention his fitness is unreal. His deliveries are too. Well, that is how we're going to start this show. Good evening, chaps. Sorry, I went on a bit of a tangent there, but I'm sure you'd agree. It had to be said. Just shocking from Match of the Day. However, we now need to put the poll up, as Toon Dave has also gifted a membership as well. Thank you very much, Toon Dave. Very, very kind of you. Right, so who are we going to start with tonight? Obviously, we'll each have a little one ourselves, and I need to change my internet over. Alex, who are you going to go with while I change my internet?
Well, we can only go with 4, can't we? So,
to go with 11.
I mean, who were the obvious ones? I mean, you've got, I guess, Isak, Gordon, Shea got on the score sheet.
Don't tell us all of them. Just do one.
I'll go with Bruno.
Bruno
on the board.
Okay. Mr. Trey?
I shall go for the Jordi Maradona who came of age yesterday, Elliot Anderson.
Okay. Right. Well, I'll go for Anthony Gordon, obviously. Some people have already mentioned it. Right. Who is our fourth choice between the three of us? Who would we like there?
It has to be Isak. We can't leave him out of the poll when he scored 2 goals.
Well, for me, it's between Isak and Fabian Schär.
Yeah.
It's got to be Isak in the poll, I'm afraid.
Really?
He scored 2 goals. He can't not be in the poll.
Well, I know that, Alex. I'm just saying.
It's not that we don't rate Fabian Schär.
No, there were so many good performances yesterday. Yeah,
if we could do a poll with 5, we probably would. But
yeah, that's fair enough. Right, so there it is. The poll is up. We will come to that at the end of the show. You have your choice of man of the match. It's Bruno, Anderson, Gordon, or Isak. Start voting now. And as I say, we'll come back to that at the end of the show. By the way, there was some brilliant stuff just put on social media for the lasses today. The dressing room, of course, with the trophy. Alex, it was so good to see a black and white team lifting a trophy.
It was weird. Full-time whistle was a bit odd. I'm not used to that. Obviously, we've just seen Leverkusen win the Bundesliga, which was magnificent. But
yeah,
to see black and white stripes running on the pitch, it's foreign to, I'm sure, all of us. It's really peculiar. But it was, I know we've experienced it a couple of times, obviously with the championship wins, but it's not the same. It is a strange feeling, but it's fully deserved. They've absolutely romped the league, and they've put 10 past their opponents today to win it in style. So fully
some
deserved.
Very good goals, by the way.
There was
some very good goals.
Excellent football play today as well. Technically, some really, really interesting. Well, not even just technique, decision making, and I really liked what I saw. I think it's my 3rd full game I've watched of the lasses. And I'm starting to understand a lot of what they're trying to do tactically, and it makes a lot more sense. And it's really enjoyable to watch. They play some good football.
Certainly do. It was absolutely brilliant. And Billy, I mean, it was just glorious to see. I know you watched the game as well, and some of the football was excellent. And the future of the Newcastle United women's side is absolutely phenomenal, isn't it? Because to see me, Dad, and Amanda there again, of course, Amanda lifting the cup as well, that was awesome.
Well, I know ladies football, women's football gets a lot of criticism from Neanderthals in and around the country and in around the world. But they need to get themselves educated, because some of the stuff they played today and most of the season this year, all the games I've seen them play and bits of games I've seen them play, aside from the actual final, they've played some sensational stuff. They really have. They've got people with women with skill in the side. They've got determination, energy. They're fantastic at finishing. And today capped all that. Some of the stuff they played today was sensational. It really was. The midfield, some of the plays in there, the centre half pots with the long balls, the finishing ability, the goal straight after half time, that finish from Emma Kelly into the top corner. Just an absolute fantastic performance, and it's it's a long road ahead of them to get the top league, the WSL. But I think they can do it, and I think with the manager and some improvements to the squad in a higher league, let's hope next year they can do it again. It was fantastic to watch today, it really was. Yeah,
absolutely. But as I say, we will cover that a lot more on the dedicated women's show, which is on Wednesday night at 7:00. Right. turning back to the men now, and a brilliant game. And yes, I've seen a comment there saying they should be able to do the trophy. Well, present the trophy to the Newcastle fans at the next home game. I'm sure that will be taken care of. Absolutely. Right. Now, what we're going to do is something a little bit different tonight because Susan has done a best bits. So we're going to start the review with the best bits from the watch-along. So sit around 5 minutes, enjoy the goals from Newcastle United yesterday as we romped past Tottenham Hotspur. Maddison through to Son in the penalty area, tried to back heel to Maddison and it doesn't come off. But again, we get lucky. But now Anthony Gordon has the ball and Doggy all over him, but Gordon shakes him off like a rag doll and plays it through for Isak. Isak now in the penalty area. Isak buries it! Get it! And Newcastle take the lead, and it's a brilliant finish from Alexander Isak. Grab your granny, because yes, you guessed it, it's bingo time! What a finish, Billy. Brilliant work from Anthony Gordon to shake off on Doggy. He played it through to Alexander Isak, skips past his man Romero and into the back of the net.
I mean, that high line from Spurs and Doggy's not even watching where the ball is. It's a great ball from Bruno to get. Oh, he's onside.
He's onside, yeah. He makes sure he's onside.
But how cool was this for me?
I mean, Van der Ven slipped, in all honesty. It wasn't, but the finish is exquisite. 1-0 to the Toon. We're in again here. Gordon, it's 2-0.
Get in
there. It's 2-0. And Newcastle United are demolishing Tottenham here at St James's Park. Grab your granny, because Grandad says, I want to make love to you right now, Grandma. It's 2-0 to Newcastle. See the goal again. Billy Danburn does really well. It's a terrible back pass. And Gordon's in, beats Van der Ven inside out and smashes it past Vicario for 2-0.
Well, Pedro Porro again from last season. It's an awful back pass from him. Really poor. Van der Ven again gets done all ends up. God almighty. He's had an absolute shocker, Van der Ven, so far. That's
shocking defending. But it's a brilliant finish from Gordon. It's 2-0. I mean, this is madness. Credit Anthony Gordon. Once again, he's like a little terrier, doesn't give up on the ball, and it's 2-0 to the Toon. Un-bloody believable, guys. We are carving through them like a knife through hot beef. Well, we're underway for the second half. Bruno then swings the ball forward. It's a wonderful ball. Isak's clean through. It's Alexander Isak. It's 3-0! Oh, it's a brilliant move. It's a fabulous ball by Bruno. And Isak slots it in the corner. And it's 3-0. And Granny's going to have to go and get her knickers now because they're absolutely soaking wet. It's 3-0 to Newcastle. Game on. Game over. Get in. What a ball from Bruno. And a lovely finish by Isak. It's 3-0.
Fantastic goal. And he could have had 5 today.
Isak's having a ball. He's having an absolute ball. It was a brilliant run from his own half. And, of course, a brilliant ball from Bruno. Yeah, let's not take anything away from that pass. No, it was absolutely world-class. 6 or 7 minutes into the second half now. It's Newcastle 3, Tottenham 0. 2 from Isak, 1 for Gordon. We're in cruise mode. And let's just hope we keep going at them because I think there's a lot more goals in this game. In comes the corner. Very deep. What a header that is from Fabian Schär. And it's 4-0 to Newcastle United. And boy, does he deserve a goal. That is fantastic. So let's go and get Granny again because she wants to head down to the nudist speech. It's fabulous stuff. It's 4-0 the Toon. Get in. Tickle you what, Billy?
Tickle my tonsils with a Toblerone again. I mean,
there you go. What a header that is, Billy.
Outstanding. Set pieces, but they always look vulnerable from them. So a goal came for it eventually. That's 4-0. This is annihilation. Spurs are on their way to nowhere. Tottenham's going nowhere again. Nah.
Ladies and gentlemen, Billy Tree, he's here all week. 4-0 to the Toon. It's been an absolute blistering performance from Newcastle today. Fabian Schär, boy, does he deserve that goal because he's been superb again today. And Tottenham have just, well, just capitulated. They really have. They had a decent 20 minutes, and there are all the Spurs fans now heading home. They've had a very decent 20 minutes, but then we've absolutely blitzed them. Absolutely blitzed them. And Lewis Hall comes on for the fabulous Elliot Anderson. What a game he has played. In fact, Matt Ritchie's coming on for Elliot Anderson. Lewis Hall is on for Barnes. That is one of the best games I've seen from Elliot Anderson.
It's one of the best games I've seen from a Newcastle player this season. He's been absolutely fantastic today.
And it's Fabian Schär that is going to make way for Paul Dummett. And I think that's to get the ovation for the crowd, Billy, because he's been awesome again today. I mean, topped it off with a superb header to make it 4-0.
Yeah, it should be a standing ovation for him. He's had an absolutely fantastic game again, Fabian Schär.
Absolutely. That is it, ladies and gentlemen. The whistle blows. Newcastle United have been absolutely dominant. Once they're settled in, as I say, to the new formation today, they blitzed Tottenham Hotspur. Newcastle 4, Tottenham 0. Billy Trey.
Yeah, an outstanding 90 minutes of football from Newcastle United.
So there you go, guys. That was the highlights of the watch-along. Thank you very much to Susan again for putting that together. She's very, very talented at doing things like that. And we're going to start doing that now at the start of each match review, playing back the highlights. Good or bad, I think it's important that we do that. But listen, thank you for all your kind comments coming in while you were watching that back about the commentary. And by the way, Susan is designing a Toon review granny. It's been decided that Granny is going to become a mascot of the channel as well as Daisy. She gets a lot of public addressing when we score goals, and it's just the way it is now. So a Toon review Granny will be with us very shortly. But Alex, like we said there yesterday, once they settled into that new formation, it was a little bit touch and go the first 20 minutes, both sides going at each other. But once we settled into it, and players knew where they were going when they were attacking, players knew then the position for defending, it just got better, didn't it?
It did. I mean, I'd like to focus on something slightly different, which is still in the same theme, but something nobody's really talking about. And I think specifically Ange Postecoglou has a lot to answer for there. For any Spurs fans potentially listening, he didn't watch the 6-1 from last year. He openly admitted that in the press conference. What for? He wasn't ready for the atmosphere, the occasion. I've had people telling me, yeah, but he's been at Celtic and stuff. He knows to a point. Does he though? Doesn't appear like he did. I think he was quite naive. It's what you can't do when you come in as a foreign manager. You can't ignore these kinds of things. He didn't adapt tactically to how we were setting up. The players' heads dropped. There was no leadership from Spurs. There were no tweaks. He was shocking. He was ill-prepared. There was no plan B. It was try plan A bit more. It was absolute awful from Postecoglou, and he should have sorted that team out, because that was it was just shocking. It's all on him. I think pretty much every single goal there was just overplaying or the atrocious high line. They've got the fastest centre halves in the league, pretty much, and they're still getting punished for it. You can't get much faster than what they've got, really. What are you going to buy strikers to play centre half? It was just shocking. There was no adaptation, and I think even though XG was heavily in our favour, I think it could have been a lot more. We had 16 corners. They were shocking at defending corners. That's in the coaching staff's ball court there, trying to tactically prepare for defensive corners. So yeah. Everything you said, we set up. It was difficult for 20 minutes. We had to bed in. But tactically, they were ill prepared for that game. Mentally, tactically, they were just absolutely nowhere to be seen. It was shocking from Spurs.
Yeah, it was. King Hoddle doesn't agree with you, but that's no surprise being a Spurs fan. William says that the Roma game's been abandoned after a player's collapsed. So we wish that player all the best. That's not very nice at all. Jake T says Maddison got to be the best actor, goes flying into the tackle, then does a Casemiro begging not to be a yellow. Well, I actually think Maddison should have been off yesterday, and that's not an exaggeration. I think he should have been booked for the clear block on Gordon, but maybe it was because it was so early in the game. I don't know what the referee was thinking. And then, of course, when he did get booked, that should have been his second yellow card, but he's got away with it again. Claire thinks it was very arrogant of Postecoglou not to watch the 6-1 thrashing, Billy.
Well, indeed it was. He's a one-trick pony, in my opinion. It's high line, and it's his way or no way. We saw against Chelsea when they had 9 men, they were still playing the 9 men, the high line, with the pace of Nicholas Jackson against them. They may be quick, but when you've got pace against them, they're going to be in big trouble. They get away with it because Van der Ven has got a bit of pace. He's supposed to be the quickest Premier League player, but I saw Anthony Gordon sprint past him with ease yesterday and not even get out of second gear. So I don't believe that's true for all of Team China. It's arrogance, it's naivety, and sooner or later he's going to have to get himself a plan B, because plan A just doesn't work against pace.
Yeah, it's right. We've got a super chat coming from Spike Milligan. Thank you, Spike. The last 3 seasons at St James's Park versus Spurs works out at 15 goals to 2 in favour of Newcastle United. That is unbelievable. I mean, Spurs just don't like coming to St James's. That is plainly obvious, guys. Now, also today, Alex, there was some very strange results in the Premier League. Of course, Villa winning at Arsenal 2-0. Fulham beating West Ham. And, of course, the other one was Liverpool losing to Crystal Palace. So, I mean, the West Ham game went our way.
Yeah, there's been some magnificent results for us this weekend. The only one that was frustrating was Manchester United seemingly having everyone in their pockets. It was bizarre that they managed to get a point out of that game. They are stumbling. It's like when you've come back from the pub and you don't know how you've managed to get the key in the door and get to bed. That's how Man United seem to be stumbling into possibly some kind of European football. They don't deserve it. They play poor football. Bruno Fernandes is dragging them into points, basically. They are abhorrent to watch. They're a joke. They're not playing for their own club at all. I dare I say, feel a little bit sorry for their fans. I probably don't. I won't go that far.
What?
But
Alex?
they are awful.
Never ever repeat those words on this channel ever again.
They've downed tools. Even it's just ridiculous. Bournemouth was so much better than them. All the teams that I watch are so much better than them. It's awful. But apart from that, it was decent that they only managed to get a point. It still helps us to a level. But the fact that West Ham lost, Liverpool losing is just funny. Especially after they lost 3-0 to Atalanta midweek. I've got friends who went to that game.
I mean, the Arsenal defeat for me was astounding. I mean,
Arsenal losing as well. I mean, it's a silver lining, isn't it, really? Because we kind of, I feel like a lot of us want Villa to do well-ish. Because it's
I'd like Villa to finish in the top 4. I said that the other day. After everything that's gone on, it's just nice to see another team challenging and the cartel being challenged.
It's easy for us to say it because we've beaten them. Well, we've put 8 past them in 2 legs this season. So I'm quite happy for them to do well because then they can't rebuttal us at all because we've beaten them twice this season comfortably.
Yeah, fair enough.
So it would be nice if they could manage to get into the top 6 or possibly top 4. It'd be good for both of us to kind of steamroll, and then the top 6 can't keep going forever if teams like us and Villa are placing high enough. It's going to upset the apple cart at some point, so we just need to keep trying.
Absolutely, yeah. Ronald says, did you see Madison on Spurs' X account? He basically said that they underestimated us, Billy. I mean, look, I can, in a way, I can imagine why, because of the injuries and that we just, we had a very threadbare team. But you should never estimate Newcastle United, not under Eddie Howe and not at St James's Park especially.
It's total and utter naivety. I don't think it's arrogance. I don't think Ange's like that. But it's naivety. Something that the whole football world should know is that St James's Park is a cauldron to go into. And if you allow the fans to get into it, as Spurs did really, with that ridiculous high line, then you're going to be in big trouble. So, underestimated us, absolutely. The players shouldn't have underestimated us. Madison's been booed here before when he played for Leicester on countless occasions. A lot of the players played there last season. Howe, Romero, people of that ilk. So, I mean, it's they should have been up for revenge. They should have been up for it, and they weren't. It was a real piss poor performance. Besides supposedly going for Champions League.
I mean, look, at the end of the day, though, Alex, we have to really take our hats off to Eddie Howe because he's planned for that game. We've been screaming for him to take a risk and maybe change the system. And, it was a bit iffy in the first 20 minutes. Granted, I think Timo Werner missed 2 massive opportunities. However, he didn't score. Simple as that. But once, I think, the first goal for me was a turning point as well. But they just settled into it so well. And clearly that Eddie's been working on that.
Yeah, obviously it's got to a point now where we've had to shift away from 4-3-3 and from the way we play sort of on the ball, the style that we press in. It's had to shift because there's just too many players out. He could have potentially done that with Anderson stepping back into the side, and we did have that sort of shape in moments, and especially on the ball. But I think he definitely rolled the dice with. He didn't want to put Dummett into that starting lineup, which we all thought he was going to, and it was refreshing. It was an interesting wing back shape off the ball, and then Elliot Anderson's average position ended up being somewhere in between the front three, because it very much, I mean, I can show you in some graphics later on, but it was very much Elliot Anderson that was the difference in that midfield. And as for the intensity, I can see King Hoddle absolutely losing his mind in the chat. I mean, fair enough, you lost 4-0, but as for the intensity, we didn't expect us to be able to press that intently, and it was a lesser press. What we were doing is playing a 4-3-3, and we were throttling people all game. We didn't do it against Spurs. We changed our tactics somewhat, and we pressed at the right moments. And it was chosen very carefully. It was a very different press. It was still man for man to a point. There was very interesting tactical tweaks in the first 20 minutes. Fabian Schär would go high and press their fullback when he would receive it from a goal kick. And Kraft was pressing high as well, which is very odd for a centre-half to go up and join the pressing structure of that 5. So it was really interesting, and it's a little bit different to how we were doing it before, and it wasn't all the time. So it was brave of how to try that, to try something different, especially Elliot Anderson dropping into a wing-back shape. Yeah. If it had gone wrong, he'd have been crucified for it, because it's a bit weird, but it worked. It suited Elliot Anderson. Some of his defensive positioning and decision making was really, really spot on. You'd have thought he's done that before, because it looked really solid. Tactically, spot on from Eddie Howe.
By the way, guys, can we lay off King Hoddle in the chat? But, banter's fair enough, right? But King Hoddle is a big friend of this channel. So lay off. He's only having a bit of banter with you guys. Come on. But he does go on to say, congratulations. You were set up very well tactically. And we never came to terms with the suffocating intensity and frequency of your man-on-man pressing. Now, he talks about man-on-man pressing there, and Poker Pizza's here. Howe has definitely found Longstaff's perfect position, man-marking the opposition's playmaker. Now, Billy, I did say after 15 minutes, my exact words were, is Longstaff actually playing? And it turned out to be a very, very harsh comment, because it was clear later on what his job was yesterday was to keep Maddison out of the game. And to be fair, 95% of that game, he kept Maddison out of it.
Well, I always keep an eye on Longstaff as a fan of his from last season, of course. We've seen him play some good stuff. And so once you've said he hadn't touched the ball, I was watching him, and it became clear after 30, 40 minutes that his job was to shadow James Maddison, and he kept him out of the game for most of it. I thought he did an excellent job. He also did a good job in the third goal, where he took the ball off. So I think it was Son not to Bruno to play that long ball. For him, that was an excellent game. He's been pretty poor of late, but I think his marks will be kind of higher than usual, a lot higher than usual. Yesterday's performance.
He had a job to do. He had a job to do. Yeah, he had a job to do, and he stuck to it, which we can only praise. Chappers, thank you for your super chat. Palace and Villa Magic wins. Simon Yorkshire, thank you for yours. 3 goal contributions from Gordon equals man of the match. Spike, we've read yours out. Thank you. Chappers, another one. Super chat, thank you. Paqueta to City, true or false? Who knows? Only time will tell. Hopefully on that one.
True, because then it means Bruno is even more likely to stay.
King Hoddle says Billy van der Ven's top recorded speed is just short of Bolt's average speed when he broke the 100-meter world record. That's a fact. It is a fact.
He didn't show it yesterday,
but
Mickey can't defend was very slow yesterday.
But Anthony Gordon, what his speed must be when he's at full pelt, because he went round him once and disappeared into the sunset. It was a very strange first half of Van der Ven. He settled in second half, but first half, my God. I mean, we did him a couple of really good times. Tangy said some of our fans said how out in the past. Look at what Arteta and Klopp have done with plenty of time invested and no FSR restricting them, bottling titles. Yeah, it looks like it's all swinging again towards Manchester City, isn't it? Emerson Royale yesterday went full chicken Royale. He wasn't great when he came on. Katie says the way they are still going on about Ashworth, never feel sorry for them. Indeed. Kev Bells, Villa are a good team in the same way. Match of the day only focused on Spurs. Hats off to Villa. They were great today. Pedro says, lads, when do you ever see a penalty overturned?
Very, very rarely. I mean, that was ridiculous yesterday.
Oh,
absolutely ridiculous.
I
didn't actually think that the Man United penalty was a penalty. I thought his arm was close to his side and it had been deflected, similar to what happened to us in Paris. So to me, that's not a penalty. And also the second one was in the box. It started outside, but it carried on in the box. It's a definite penalty. And it certainly isn't clear and obvious to overturn it. Absolutely not.
Yeah. Stevie B says, Alex, you need to shame yourself on TTR this Friday for saying that about the Man United fans. Feeling sorry for them. Interesting. Julie says, the sad thing is that preferential VAR decisions give Man United a false position when it comes to their quality in Europe. I agree with that. Yeah, they are in a false position. There's no doubt they are because of decisions they've had. And, you know, I don't care what they come out with the injury garbage when what we've had to deal with. It's unbelievable.
It's all the way back to the start of the season. It's been all season. The big foul from Onana on Sasha Kalajic for Wolves right at the start of the season that was awful. They've been gifted points since day one. And they should probably be somewhere sort of down 10th, 11th place in reality.
Yep. Let us be says, I've just got back from the Lasses match. Holy shit. Was with 3 generations of women in my family. Utterly brilliant. Yeah, absolutely wonderful day. Toon Gamer says, we said that was a masterclass by Eddie for tactics, but would he have played like that with a fully fit squad or played his 4-3-3 tactics? Well, if he had his fully fit squad, I would assume that he'd go with his strongest lineup, which has been the 4-3-3 when everybody's fit.
There probably would have been enough to go at Spurs and match them. With all of our quality available and fitness, we can have at Spurs. But with the personnel available, we can't try and match them for general control of the game in terms of possession. Not a chance. We had to play different.
Rich has massive respect for Dan Burn, acknowledging the death with his sensory celebration, signing to that part of the ground, which was shown on the Feckwit match of the day, and they still didn't acknowledge it. It was a lovely touch from Dan Burn, and it's come across really well with a lot of media sources apart from match of the day because they're a bunch of bellends. King Huddle says, Alex, you said we could no longer press with intensity. You were wrong. Yes, you give Tottenham fans completely false hope that we don't press with intensity anymore, Alex. Says, I think that's as intense as you can get.
I mean, we've still been pressing with intensity, but I didn't think we'd be able to press with... And again, it was a different press. It wasn't constant pressing. We backed off. When we were in our own half and kind of in shape, we were quite happy to let them have the ball and stifle and move the ball centrally. And, you know, it did help that a couple of their technical players were really not at the races. Like Son was doing what Rooney used to do, and that he wasn't playing where he was meant to be playing. He was dropping deep and dropping too central to try and get touches of the ball, and he was just losing it. And then we were just... That was the trap. We were gone. But it was high up. It was trying to stop that initial first couple of balls out. Our presses were really, really good. When we chose to press, it was very aggressive and very tenacious. And it was, So I think the key there is, I think generally what I said is true. We haven't really got that pressing at the moment. We've just about got it back because Anderson's now match fit and we have an athletic midfielder back, which we've not had for like 4 months. And it looks like Harvey Barnes is up to relative match fitness, as is Isak. It's taken Isak quite a long time to get back up to full tilt, and he looks like he is now. And
I
Gordon
still
looks
think
like
there's
he's
a little
shaking
bit
off,
to go with him, Alex. With
I'd
Isak.
agree. I
think
would agree massively.
His touch isn't 100% there yet. There was a couple of times yesterday he could have had more goals, Billy, couldn't he? We mentioned that during the commentary that his touch let him down, but he's dynamic. I mean, the first goal, brilliant. Second goal, kept his cool. Brilliant pass from Bruno, of course, and then to go in on goal and keep your composure and just slot it in. I mean, it wasn't the normal pass in the back. I mean, he put his foot through it. It was a brilliant finish.
Yeah, and if it hadn't been for some last-ditch defending, I think Udogie deflected one wide.
Yeah, he did, yeah.
Going to go in. I thought he was the best of their back four yesterday, actually, Udogie, even though he was at fault, partly at fault for the first goal. But yeah, there was a couple of times where Barnes played a beautiful pass into him, just didn't get it down quickly enough to get a shot off.
Yeah.
But there was definitely more to him, and without any shadow of a doubt. But we saw how cool and calm he is in front of goal. He's an assassin. He's lethal. He's all the things you want in a striker, I think.
Yeah. I mean, there's always been a doubt whether he's an out-and-out number 9, but yesterday he actually looked like one. I mean, he was the link-up play between him and Gordon and Barnes on the other side. I mean, to be honest, that's my favourite 3. That's my favourite 3 up front that I've seen all season. I really do believe that.
Take that with a pinch of salt, though. It's based on the opposition. There's going to be a lot of other fixtures where Isak is not going to be able to play in that way. He's receiving the ball deep early. He's able to link up play. He's able to turn and run with the ball. There are a lot of opponents where he doesn't get the opportunity to play like that. He'll be up against 3 or 2 really big centre halves that will stick tight to him, and he has to play a lot more physically, and that is a bit harder for him. Well, a lot harder for him. So that sort of game suits him to a T. He's not always going to get to play against opposition like that, though. So you say, yeah, as a 9, obviously 9s can come up against very different opponents. So it's not always going to be that easy for him.
No, absolutely not.
I think with the pace on both wings, though, that pulls centre halves out. And he's had more space
massively.
In the
I mean, I mentioned this to you, didn't I, Billy? Yesterday, it's the old Maxi comparison in that we were quite lopsided when I'm going to say it because it's absolutely true. Obviously, there was a time when Miggy wasn't particularly efficient on the right wing at all, and Maxi got overmarked on one side, and we were very, very lopsided. Whereas yesterday looked like, for the first time in what can be forever, they couldn't commit because there was 3 competent forwards.
Yeah.
And if they overcommitted on one side, the other side sprung, whether it was Gordon or Barnes. And then Isak could just drift wherever necessary because he's so talented. So we've suddenly, what we've been asking for about 3 seasons, we've got it. We've got 3 wingers or wide forwards that are competent enough where they can't stick 3 on one side and stifle us, because they're all 3 of them are competent enough, which is great. So we've got, hopefully we can keep all 3 fit, because it's going to be quite a tidy forward going forward.
I'll just love it. I mean, Gordon could play either side. There's no doubt about it. He can play right. He can play left. Barnes, for me, had a very, very good game yesterday. It just everything clicks with them 3. They've got a good understanding of each other as well. On the right-hand side, I think Isak links up well with Gordon. On the other side, he links well with Barnes. And they've got a real understanding there. And I think that can only be exciting as a Newcastle United fan to see what can come of that. Dan Robinson, thank you for your super chat. He says, I've said it before, between the pundits, the coverage, the match start times in London and the officiating, there is a clear anti-NUFC agenda. Well, we know there is. I mean, we've seen it countless times, even before the takeover. Can
I just address something? I know there was a horse that was called Maxi that won the national today. It's like 15 comments of it.
Yeah, did you put a bet on?
No, but loads of family messaged me about it.
Yeah, we all thought you might have put a little sneaky bet on yesterday.
I think about Isak's, Paul, before we go any further, is
absolutely, yeah.
Physically, yesterday, winning balls in the air. Well, we pointed out on the Patreon podcast yesterday. That's something you don't associate with Alexander Isak.
Yeah.
He was winning balls in the air from corners, even. He had a fantastic game yesterday in all rounds of being a centre forward.
By the way, we've got nearly 1,300 people watching tonight on a Sunday night. That is incredible. Thank you so much for tuning in. If you are new, please do click bottom right-hand corner and subscribe to the channel. Also, that Matchday Live Best Bits will be up on our YouTube channel a bit later on tonight. So if you want to make yourself smile again over a brilliant win, that will be uploaded a bit later on tonight as well. But I'll let you know on all the socials when that is done. Chris has a genuine question, Billy. 18 corners equals 1 goal. Is that a good conversion ratio?
No, it isn't.
16 corners.
But having said that, our regular corner taker wasn't taking them yesterday. You got to put that into the equation. I thought maybe half the corners were good yesterday. The other half probably hit the first man, but yeah, we got 1 goal from it. I think if you take 1 goal from set piece every game, then you're in the plus. If I'm being perfectly honest.
I mean, look, when have Newcastle ever been clinical at corners? I mean, I can't remember the last time we had a team that were the ratio was good from scoring from corners. I mean, this is way before the takeover, but do you remember where we used to take a corner? It was always to the back post for Mike Williamson to head back across, and it was the same one over and over and over again. And I think there was a length of time where we actually where we just didn't score from a corner for God knows how long.
Pardew ball, wasn't it? That was.
Oh God.
Yeah, but even then, we had Williamson and Carroll in the same team at one point and couldn't get it in from corners.
Yeah. Ab says Madison wasn't that quiet. It's just the rest of the team was smothered. Sauer couldn't do anything. Longstaff, a 7 at best. Julie J says Bruno's up there, but not overtaken Alan Shearer as yet in legendary status. Tangy, as a hard critic of Longstaff, it has to be said he did a fantastic job marshalling Madison the whole game. Dean, who's been very, very critical of Eddie Howe in the past, said credit to Howe for the change of formation, probably through the opposition for 6, expecting the old 4-3-3. And that's probably what Tottenham had planned for, isn't it, Alex?
I mean, they did mention that. Rio Ferdinand kind of made a reference to it when Eddie Howe came for the post-match little interview they did outside on the pitch. Eddie Howe said, I apologise for being a bit cagey before, because obviously he was keeping that well under wraps, that there was going to be quite a few differences tactically, the way we were going to shape up, especially off the ball. It worked magnificently. I mean, the differences, credit can't just go to Elliot Anderson. It's also got to go to Jacob Murphy. He got caught out a couple of times, and I think that's fair. It's absolutely fine. If you're asking somebody to play, he's not a right back in a back four. Never in a million years. So of course he's going to get caught out a couple of times. It's completely normal. But I thought on the whole, he did an exceptional job. And again, it's another example of some of those local lads. And quite fittingly, they had the nice War Flags banner about people who support the club. And Elliot Anderson and Jacob Murphy both do anyway. And they both played massively out of position against Spurs. And it just proves they're willing to do whatever they need to do for the shirt. And Dan Burn, again, kind of depending on what was happening, was kind of either a left back or a centre half. Just willing to put their bodies on the line and play wherever's needed to try and get 3 points. So it's brilliant. I
don't know whether you guys have seen the picture of Matt Targett on social media in a boot.
No.
In a protective boot, yeah. So I don't think we'll be seeing Matt Targett again this season, if at all now.
If at all, I think it's a good point. I think if they can get him fit, I think he's one of the ones that could be out in the summer if we can get a decent price for him and clubs are prepared to pay his wages. The other thing I saw on social media today was Sean and Paul Dummett with the Wealdstone Raiders. Anyone seen that? It's hilarious.
With the who?
Wealdstone Raider.
Oh, I haven't seen it. I've seen a picture. I knew he was at Newcastle yesterday because he was there with a Toon top on as well.
Steve Wraith saw him the other day.
Yeah, Steve saw him. Yeah. Unbelievable, isn't it? It's unbelievable how he's made himself such a celebrity. But what is it? He goes, "You want some? You want some?" And he's built like a matchstick. Yeah, brilliant. Absolutely superb. Connor says, I love how Martin Keown called Isak a speed merchant against the fastest centre-half in the Premier League. Isak's quick, but I don't think Isak's as quick as Anthony Gordon. I don't. I think when Gordon's at full pelt, he must take some catching.
Well, he went past Van der Ven with ease yesterday.
They both did.
Yep. Katie says, I owe Eddie an apology. I was so doubting him, but 6th with everything, quite the achievement. Yeah. If we keep up with, we all been critical of Eddie this season. I must state though, not once have I ever wanted Eddie Howe out, but I can see why a lot of fans did, including you, Mr. Trey, because it was we've all gone through those emotional experiences, and that's all it is. It's pure emotion.
It's when I felt he threw the game surrendered the game against Chelsea that really triggered me. But since then, really, he's managed exemplary. With tactics, they're going back to the kind of counter-attack stuff against Wolves at home, and then again yesterday. Yeah, and he's made his look at times with the injuries and having to play players as and when injuries were coming. But yeah, I feel a bit sick that I actually did say Eddie Howe, because he's actually proved me wrong, and fair play to him for doing that.
Well, that's the thing, though. When you criticise, you want them to throw egg back in your face, don't you? We said that about Joe Linton, Miggy, all the players over the years. You know, we've always thought, even when we criticise them, we want them to be better. We want them to throw egg in our face and say, right, there you go. And Eddie's done that for me. I mean, it was a masterclass tactician. You know, it reminds me of what he did for Bournemouth when they went to Chelsea that time, and that was highlighted a lot on TV and podcasts and things like that. He studied that game yesterday, worked out a system that he thought he could get the better of Spurs, and boy, did it work. Spurs were awful, by the way. Let's, apart from, had those goals from Werner Ventin, he couldn't finish his breakfast at the minute, Timo Werner. I don't know what happens to him. He seems to cross the border to come out to Germany and just forget where the goal is. I don't know what's happened to him. I really don't. But before we go into the player ratings, Alex, I can't remember what I was actually going to say. Yes. Son, he was well and truly kept out of the game yesterday. He was having to come very deep for the ball. And because of that, Spurs had nothing at the front end.
Son, what did he do?
Nothing.
28 touches of the ball. He did okay. He won 4 free kicks for Spurs. Did he even have any shots? No. Not a single shot, not a single completed dribble from Heung-min Son, which is very rare for him, because he is elite. I think it's fair to say he's elite. He's been banging in goals for fun for a number of years in the Premier League, challenging for the Golden Boot. I think wasn't he joint first in one season recently. So I think it's fair to say he's an elite player, and couldn't really get into the game. He couldn't bring other people in much. He couldn't get a decent dribble off. A couple of poor first touches, lost the ball. Obviously, he got tackled by Longstaff, didn't he, to set one of the goals up to release Bruno for that pass. It was just, it was a tricky one. They couldn't really handle the press when they were trying to come out from sort of goal kicks. They needed to be better prepared for that.
But that's what you mean by plan B, Alex, because you're talking about those goal kicks, playing out from the back. They were pressed right in, yet they continued to do it. They didn't have another plan. I'm clutching at straws here. This game was crying out for a Richarlison type figure. They needed somebody a bit more physical up top to try and receive slightly longer balls and be a bit more rough and tumble. That would have helped. However, I have no sympathy for the fact that they were missing somebody that would have impacted the game, because we have Tonali, Wilson, Lascelles, Joelinton, Willock, Trippier, Miley, Target, Almiron, Pope, and Botman out. So I've got no sympathy that they're missing Richarlison that would have made a difference, because we were also missing a lot of players that could have made a considerable difference. Absolutely. So, Son isn't really... That can work. The way that they were trying to play with Son kind of as the spearhead and floating around with a bit of a free roll, I'm sure that works in certain scenarios. Absolutely not when Fabian Schär's stepping up. The timing of the centre-half stepping up was magnificent as well. It just didn't work tactically at all. And I go back to Ange. King Hoddle may disagree with me, but that's all on Ange for setting up that way, for not understanding the potential of what we can do at St. James's Park. Yeah. It's naive. Again, it's naive from a foreign manager to come in and not do the research on what it can be like in certain stadiums in the country. We aren't as good as that away from home. We don't have that additional gear away from home typically. We've struggled away from home this season. At St. James's Park, they do have an additional Duracell in there somewhere. And he should have been prepared for that. And it was... Well, he could have made early tweaks though, right? Yeah.
In the first...
Tottenham's problem, I guess.
But we scored 2 quick fire goals. 2 very quick fire goals. 32nd minute. He could have made some changes. He could have gone, right, we're 2-0 down away from home. This isn't working. These players aren't receiving the ball. This is going wrong. I think he should have made a lot more tweaks just after half an hour. And he didn't.
I'll tell you what else about Son is he seems to have taken over the Harry Kane role of, if things ain't going right, just go wherever you want for the ball, including from your centre halves anywhere, where he's not dangerous in the slightest.
Yeah, it was. I mean, I love Son. Don't get me wrong. I think he's a magnificent footballer, and I would love him in a black and white shirt. But I just thought, we did well to sort of eradicate that problem yesterday. Yeah, Stephen, I agree with this. The South Shield fans, after that awful crash, I hope they're all okay. There was a nasty crash coming back from their away game yesterday. One of the buses, I believe. So we hope they are okay. I'm actually doing a South Shield save on Football Manager, which I've had to start again because my game crashed. Genuinely. So I was up near the top, and then I did lose in the playoff final, but I was, building a good squad there. But never mind. That's by the by. So yeah, we hope they're all okay and make a full recovery. Chippers, thank you for your super chat. He says, look at our goal difference, plus 17. More goals scored than Spurs and Villa this season. That could be the difference to getting Europa League or Conference League.
I have an even better stat for you. And Billy knows this one. We've actually scored more right now. We've only played 32 games. We've overtaken the best goal-scoring season of the Entertainers.
Yeah, I read that stat last night. Yeah, unbelievable achievement. That, given how the injuries have affected us, to fit that is incredible. That's an incredible stat.
I mean, if we keep Pope fit,
Isak has 17 goals. He's missed half the season with injury.
Yeah,
and on that note, Isak as well has now equalled his best goal-scoring season as a senior pro with 17 goals. He got 17 once for Sociedad. He's done it in 400 fewer minutes and 10 fewer starts. So he's
we still think he's got another gear, which is incredible. Fascinating. Right, let's move on to the player ratings. As usual, guys, please take part in the player ratings in the live chat. Let us know if you agree with us or you've got a different stance on it. But if you don't agree with us, don't just put your talking rubbish. Put why you disagree with it and put your player rating and why you've given that player rating. We'll start off with Dubravka, Billy.
Well, this is going to be a bit of an outlier for the rest of the team, but I thought he was shaky as heck yesterday. I thought he was dithery. I thought he came out when he shouldn't have came out. He a bit panicky. Or however, he has kept a clean sheet, but that's more down to the defence in front of him and the poorness of the opposition. So I'll give him a 6.
I've gone for exactly the same, Billy. That one when he came out, there's just so many. He's just so shaky when he leaves that line. He is. I mean, he's a good shot stopper. Don't get me wrong. He does okay with crosses, but making that decision to come off his line, it can be really, really, really dodgy. But yeah, 6 for me. Alex,
I'm gonna go with. I'm going to go with a 4. I really didn't like his performance at all.
A 4 for a clean sheet?
I don't think he had anything to do with that particularly. Apparently he made 2 saves in the game. I thought it was 3 saves because he made 2 saves where they were straight at him and one where he tipped one out to the side. So that's 3. I don't know why the websites will say 2 saves because I remember seeing 3. But I'm going to give him a 4 based on the fact that he had very minimal. It wasn't a lot to do, and he fumbled one of those saves that was right at him, and it wasn't.
That was terrible.
Either.
Yeah, I remember that
save, and the decision making in when to come out was shocking. And I think he was really, really covered by how well the players in front of him played and how structured they were. The centre halves didn't make too many mistakes. Spurs were also quite poor. Against trickier teams and teams who play better, that's going to catch us out. Dubravka's had a couple of great games for us this year.
Yeah,
but it's really hot and cold, and he's going to lose us more points between now and the end of the season if he plays like that. I'm really concerned. That I know we got a clean sheet, but I thought that was largely down to the defense and the shape and how we lined up. I don't think it was down to the goalkeeper much. I thought it was a really concerning performance from Dubravka. I'm giving him a 4.
Look at an armoured breastplate on because it hit his chest in it and bounced about 3 yards forward.
I mean, that's a routine save for a Sunday League keeper. Never mind a Premier League one.
It's just strange because he has. There's a lot. Maybe some people have been thinking I'm being a bit critical. There's been 2 or 3 exceptional games in the last 2 months. Exceptional games, in the cup. Couple of great Premier League games where he's been magnificent. But then there have been games where, like, he single-handedly lost us games where he's just let the ball go in the back of the net and got robbed. And and his sweeping's non-existent. And then when his only good thing is shot stopping lets him down as well. It's getting to the point where I would prefer to roll the dice on carriers for the rest of the season. It's not much.
I mean, you
really
said that a lot. Yeah,
I think you've got concentration issues. I really do.
Maybe you're right, because I mean, he did, like we've said, he didn't have a lot to do. But I thought that coming off his line in the first half was bizarre, and then the fact that that shot in the second half straight at him, and it bounces. He lets it bounce off his chest. Crazy. Lovely comment from Kush de la Kush. How is this show or channel free to watch? I'd pay to watch this. Brilliant, lads. Thank you very much. That's a lovely thing to say. Right, let's move to no, hang on a minute. How am I going to do this today? I'm used to the 4-3-3 formation. Right, we'll go I'll tell you what we'll do. We'll do the 5 at the back when we're defending. Okay, so we'll start with Jacob Murphy as the right wing back. Alex,
I think he gets I'm gonna give him a 7. I feel like that's possibly a little bit generous. It was probably a little bit close to a 6, but because he's out of position, he was fairly solid, and we won 4-0. He kept a clean sheet as a defender. I'll go for a 7. He didn't look shaky. Had to get used to it in the first 20 minutes, but then he did. And it was quite an interesting outlet in attack as well, because I think he was a little bit in two minds whether he could go or not. Sometimes when we broke, he was like, ooh, and then he went, oh God, no, I'm a right back. And it was really funny watching him having that mental sort of wrestling match with himself. But yeah, I'll give him a 7. I thought he was really, really solid for what he had to do.
Yep. Billy?
No, I agree with Alex. 7. A foreign position for him, but he has looked solid in that position whenever he's done it this season for us. And he ran himself into the ground also. He went off with pure fatigue and absolutely cream crackered, put everything on the pitch for us. So yeah, I'll give him a 7.
Yeah, I've gone with exactly the same for exactly the same reasons. Couple of dodgy moments, but listen, playing in that position, and let's face it, it was a big game yesterday playing Tottenham, and still needing the points on the board. And I really, I love Jacob Murphy. He had a stinker last week, but he's come back and been asked to play right wing back after a game where he's had a stinker and still put in a very, very good performance like that. I think, you've got to say hats off to the kid. Really good. 7 for me. Okay, left wing back was Elliot Anderson. 10, 10, 10, 10, and another 10. I absolutely loved his game yesterday. The physicality of Elliot Anderson reminds me of Joe Linton. I said this yesterday. It's like he's been watching Joe Linton, come through and be the powerhouse that he is now. And I just think magnificent yesterday. Absolutely superb. Ran his heart out. Brilliant on the ball. Brilliant off the ball. Best performance I've seen from him in a black and white shirt yesterday. And I actually said yesterday that I was giving him man of the match, and he's not even on the bloody viewers' vote. Is he?
He should be.
Oh, yes, absolutely. Yes, he is. So I'll take that back. I haven't got the poll in front of us now. It's just disappeared while the voting goes on. But 10 for me. Alex?
Yeah, I mean, it's very rare I do this for an offensive player who hasn't scored. But I'm going to give him a 10 because he's an offensive player who did exceptional defensive work. There was one moment, and I don't know if you guys remember it, where he'd slotted into a centre-half role. I can't remember why. Potentially someone was out of position. He was standing as a centre-half, and he stepped out and robbed the ball off someone because somebody had kind of looked away. I can't remember if it was Kulusevski or Lo Celso. Somebody looked the other way, and he stepped out. Yeah, and it was phenomenal. And he played as a left wing back. He played as the kind of the water carrier, being able to move the ball via dribbling when we weren't trying to ping it long for counter-attacks. He was able to kind of knit that team together. In the average positions for that side, you had the back four, Bruno and Sean in front of the back four. You got the front three, and the outlier in the average positions map is Anderson kind of in the middle of all of it. He was the guy running the show physically. As a 21-year-old, to run the show in a match of that magnitude is sensational. Not only that, he's kind of playing as a wing back, done a couple of funny centre-half things. He won 4 out of 4 aerial duels, which is magnificent. And then he goes into the Tottenham box and starts cutting back and beating 2 defenders, getting a shot on target. yeah, I mean, I think for all of that, he gets a 10. I know he didn't score, but the fact that an attacker's done the job of a centre half and a wing back, I mean, we give centre halves high ratings when they score from set pieces, so we're going to do the reverse for Elliot Anderson. He deserves a 10.
Yeah. Dorch Mag asked the question: would you accept £35 million for Anderson for FFP profit?
No,
Not in a million years. I think he's got a fantastic future, 100%. Billy.
Yeah, it's the easiest 10 I think we'll ever give from a disciplined performance from a 21-year-old. Physically, absolutely fantastic. He's got the skills in his feet as well, the quick feet to get past a defender in the box and put that shot in at the near post. Yeah, and it was his best performance in a Newcastle shirt by a country mile. And he's going to be a massive, massive star in the world of football. Absolutely no about it. 10.
Yeah. Who is RoboCop? Luke says, I feel sorry for RoboCop. I'd like to have seen him get a few minutes this season, especially at the end of the Everton match when Eddie brought Dummett on instead. Dead or alive, he can't get a game.
Oh, I can't remember who it is.
Must be Murphy.
Alex Murphy?
Isn't that what they called?
Oh, Jimmy J says it's Alex Murphy.
I thought that was also Botman's name, wasn't it? Didn't they call it? I think at the Ajax Academy they called Botman RoboCop as well.
I have no idea, but we've got a very, very, very salty Tottenham fan in the chat. We were robbed of a clear penalty.
It's only 4-1 then, don't worry.
When was that? I don't remember that.
When was that?
I think they were complaining about Dan Burn's high boot. You've got to remember that the waist, a high boot, for it to be considered a high boot for Dan Burn, it's basically got to touch a cloud. So,
but it wasn't in the box. It was outside the box.
Yeah, it was. Yeah,
it wasn't even. It wasn't.
So if it wasn't in the box,
the man of the match was the referee and VAR. Oh my God, that's the most funniest thing I've seen all night. That's classic.
Open play, like all of them were from open play.
But it wasn't even in the box, the Dan Burn one, because I thought it was actually a foul and you should have had a free kick. I recall it.
Absolutely.
Oh, dear me. But what about the Madison high boot? Oh, you're going to say that shouldn't have been a set give away, man.
The funniest thing was when James Madison body checked whoever it was, and then someone did it about 2 minutes later.
Yeah.
And did it to me, and he was like that. No yellow card. You're joking. It just been worse than that about a minute before.
Exactly. And you Spurs fans wonder why you get... Jesus, wept. Honestly.
The ref was a homer.
Oh, dear me. Absolutely.
There were people criticising the Van der Ven yellow card. There had been 2 strong challenges from us and from Spurs previously, and the referee basically stated, if any more of this, you're going in the book. And he did it, and he went in the book. It was very clear. He made himself very clear to the players.
Yeah.
I think that would have gone for us as well. If we'd have played a tackle like that again, the referee made it very simple. The next player to do that kind of challenge is going to get booked. So I don't know how that's our fault. The ref
listen, Ange Ball forever. Keep putting your comments in, mate, because it's you're making a tit of yourself and actually bringing a good laugh to this Sunday night show. So thank you for that. Right, let's move to the centre-backs now. We'll start off with Emil Kraft, Billy.
Yeah, probably went under the radar, but he was really, really solid. Had a really, really good game and almost scored with the scuffiest shot you're ever going to see. He actually come off his shin into the ground and then trickled through to the post, but had that gone in, he'd have probably got a 10, but it didn't, so I'm going to give him an 8.
Alex?
I'm going to give him a 7 as well.
Well, Billy gave an 8.
To be made for a touch higher, but yeah, nearly scored. And the fact that he had a bit of a bad performance off the bench recently to come in and play centre half, cracking. Well done. Impressive.
Yep, I'm going to go with an 8. I agree with Billy. I think he deserves an 8. He went under the radar. And given that, remember, that is not his natural position. I loved it. Yeah, I can see it, Billy. I'm just ignoring. I'm ignoring him now. He thinks we're Man City. Yeah, 115 cheats. You've got the wrong club, pal. Are you even a football fan? Jesus. Anyway, yes, Kraft an 8 for me. Right, let's move on to Big Dan Burn. Alex.
Big Dan Burn. I think he's in for another 7. Really solid, disciplined, focused performance. I like that the armband doesn't seem to affect him. Again, he's probably. I mean, who else is on the pitch? I think he's probably the only person left of that leadership group. Yeah, I think he is. I think he's the only one left of that leadership group who's playing at the moment. He's tidied up his mistakes. He's focusing. He's solid. It's obviously a bit more comfortable for him positionally at the moment. I'll go with a 7 as well. But that's not to say that he wasn't great. He was great.
7 as well. Who's going with the 7? You're the first one out of us to vote, Alex.
No, I can see people giving him higher.
Maybe. Right, okay, yeah.
I just feel like, that he wasn't involved too much in attacking set pieces. He wasn't getting involved too much in defending, but that wasn't through any fault of his own. It was because we were structured so well, and he was a part of that. It's a similar thing to when a goalkeeper has a quiet game, you just give him a blanket 7. It's one of those where he didn't actually have loads to deal with because he was, So I'll go with a 7, but he was very good.
I'm giving him an 8. I've been so critical of Dan Burn this season, but I think centre-back is his position. I don't think any of us doubt that anymore. Considering he had the armband on as well, I thought he was immense again. And as I say, I loved what he did for the goal celebration. In an intense match like that, realizing that was where the kids were, and to do that to them, I think was just an incredible gesture from Dan Burn. I do. And I think he's an immense centre-back. I really do. I don't think he's an immense left-back by any stretch. But centre-back, I wouldn't have a problem him staying in the squad next year as cover for whoever is going to be first choice. I think he's an immense centre-back. So 8 for me, Billy.
I'll give him a 9. He can contribute to the second goal by that header that Pedro Porro managed to pass to Anthony Gordon in the box. So there's a bit of a goal contribution there, even though it's not an assist as such. But yeah, as a captain, his leadership's been fantastic, and also that little gesture he did for the deaf people and kids in the crowd was fantastic also. So I'll give him a 9.
Yeah. Okay, Fabian Share now. We'll go through them a little bit quicker because I know people are pushed for time on a Sunday night. We've been on 1 hour and 7 now. Fabian Share, for me, I'm giving him a 10. I thought he was immense yesterday. His passing, his defending, his goal, all just absolutely immense. And listen, when Fabian plays like that, he is just a fantastic centre-back. When you consider how much we actually paid for him. So an absolute 10 for me. Sean McEwen, thank you for being a member for 9 months. Really appreciate that, buddy. 9 months of watching an amazing show. Keep up the good work, guys. Thank you so much for that. Some really nice comments coming in tonight with a huge viewing figures. Thank you. Really do appreciate that. Fabian Share, Billy?
I'm going to give him a 10 also. People forget that he set the tone early doors with a couple of late tackles on Son. Really, really early doors. And just showed that we weren't there for the taking. We were there to fight. And after that, he defended fantastically. Got his goal as well. Some of his passing was great too. Yeah, 10 out of 10. No doubt about it.
Night and Knee Game and celebrating 20 months of membership on the channel. Thank you so much for your support, buddy. Alex?
Yeah, I mean, I think I can probably stretch a 10 for Fabian as well. Cheeky little 4 fouls and no yellow card, which was interesting of him. He managed to squeeze that out of the game.
Alex, just to interrupt you there, if you remember, he put one in very early on Son, which me and Billy really thought was a brilliant thing to do in the first few minutes of the game and let Son know he was there. It was a hard
that was
tackle.
High up the pitch, wasn't it? That was when he was part of the press.
In his first half,
So I'm giving him the 10 purely because I loved. He obviously took on a few more tactical instructions. That because Byrne wasn't getting involved with that. It was Cher that was doing it. Far more stepping out, involved in a couple of pressing situations. And he scored from a set piece, and he was solid defensively. So it was, sometimes Fabian's gone missing in a couple of games this year. Not many, only a couple. He's been largely brilliant.
Nobody's ever going to play a full season of brilliance, are they?
But it's the fact that he asked Fabian to play his standard game and gave him a couple of extra jobs to do, and he executed them brilliantly. And scored from a set piece. It's just, it was probably an 8-ish performance. But then the goal and additional work he did with pressing gets the 10. It was really, really good. I mean,
the height he actually jumped for that corner, if you watch it again, he gets incredible jump on it. Brilliant. A few people are saying the Chair should have been captain. maybe he doesn't want the captaincy. Maybe he just wants to concentrate on his game.
He probably deserves it based on time at the club, though. But I guess,
yeah, I agree with that. But he maybe doesn't want it. He wants to just concentrate on his game, and if that's the case, then that is fair enough. Burns
has been a brilliant captain since.
He was excellent captain yesterday, and you saw him talking to players all through the game. It was fair. I was just going to say that. The Chipper says it as well. The River Thames has burst its banks tonight with all the salty tears. Unbelievable. Dan Brown, who's been a member for almost 2 years now. Thank you, Dan. That is immense. Cher should be a striker these days. Well, I mean, if we ever need an emergency striker, just stick him up there. Right, let's move into the midfield, and we'll start with Bruno. Alex.
Bruno, I think I'll go for a 9, but I think we can't speak highly enough of the fact he's managed to go 11 Premier League games without a booking and complete the promise he made to Eddie, which is just crazy.
Well, I'm actually going to put a bet on Alex for the Palace game that he gets booked. I think that is an outstanding certainty.
I'm a little bit concerned he's going to get sent off, to be honest with you, because there must be so much pent-up anger. I mean, the true professionalism will show through if he manages to control himself for the rest of the season. That's the next target. But anyway, I'm going to give him a 9. It was a near-perfect performance. Wasn't able to get on the ball as often, but he's really, really good at taking sort of relieving the pressure. He can pick the ball up or rob it back and sort of keep the ball away from 3 or 4 pressers, move the ball forward. It was an immaculate assist, great ball forward. 5 accurate long balls. We needed his vision and passing in the counter-attacking plan. Was really, really solid physically. 4 tackles as well. Managed to three fouls, but no booking. And then fair play to him for giving it the 4 at Lo Celso at the end. Lo Celso should have just walked away. You're a bit part player. You're not in the starting lineup for Spurs anymore. Don't come on the pitch as a sub giving it beans. Not a chance.
I'm going to give Bruno an 8 for the performance, but an extra point for the fact that he didn't get booked yesterday when that incident happened, because me and Billy were crapping ourselves when he was told he was coming off. And I thought, oh God, he's going to get a yellow card for getting involved in all of this. But to his credit, he walked away. Dan Burn came in, sort of diffused the situation, got Bruno away from it, and the rest is history. He went off the pitch. So, 9 for me. Billy?
Yeah, 9 out of 10. Contributed to the first goal as well, with a fantastic long ball to Anthony Gordon and the assist for Isak's second. Yeah, outstanding. Discipline's great, and managed to warn the heck out of Lo Celso and Romero as well. So, all good. 9.
Okay. Right, Sean Longstaff. Billy?
I would give Sean an 8 for his defensive performance. Much better as what has been performing of late. He wasn't expected to do much of the ball, which was great because he didn't do a lot with the ball. He didn't get the ball much. Don't know how many touches he got. Stats all tell us it when he did his mark. But to kind of freeze James Maddison out of the game, I'll give him an 8.
Solomon says that we're all overrating Gordon. We need to chill and see him next season. Let's see him do it again next season. Okay. I'm giving Sean Longstaff a 7 for similar things to what Billy said. But I must admit, 7 is a massive score for Sean Longstaff because a few performances he's been in the minuses. So it's a huge jump for Sean. I think he did a very, very good job yesterday. It was told what he needed to do, and he went and did it. And, his stuff off the ball kept everything going for me. It was he did very well. Kept Maddison away off the ball, kept him out the game. I just thought it was so much more improved performance. Alex?
Somewhere between a 7 and an 8. And I'm going to be nice and go for an 8. I'm going to go a little bit higher. And I owe Sean an apology as well, because I made a little joke in the preview show about potentially Bruno man-marking Maddison. And who else is going to do it? Sean. And Sean did it. Did it quite well, actually. 4 out of 5 duels in the game. Only made 10 passes. But again, his job is be in position, make sure passing lanes are blocked, players are covered, do your job properly, be rustle and tussle when you need to, and then give the ball to somebody more technical, i.e. Bruno. And he did it very, very well. He concentrated for the full game. So, yeah, we'll go for the 8. I think it was really solid, considering everything he's been through recently and really, really struggled. Some shocking performances, difficulties with injury. He's still able to block it out and give us a professional performance when we needed one. So, fair due.
Okay. Front 3 now. We'll start off with Harvey Barnes. Billy.
I think if Alexander Isak could have controlled the passes that Barnes was putting through to him, you're probably looking at a 10 for him, because he'd probably had a couple of assists.
Yeah.
As it was, you can't really blame him for that, but the passes were still there. Set up Anderson for his chance also. I'm going to give Harvey Barnes a 9. I thought it was outstanding. Yeah, I really do. He's come on leaps and bounds since his injury.
From that Blackburn appearance, Billy, when we said he looked absolutely woeful. He was
awful against Blackburn, and he was pretty. I thought he was pretty poor actually for the start of his career. I know he scored against Villa, but after that he was ineffective and flattered to deceive. Got his injury, took him ages to get back from it. Come back, and he's looked fantastic since. Apart from that Blackburn game, I'll give him a 9.
I'm giving him an 8, but for very, very similar reasons. Billy, I think he's given himself Eddie Howe a problem for when he's got everybody fit, because I honestly think that 3 that played yesterday, given our current squad, is the best 3 we've got as a forward line. I genuinely think that. Alex?
Yeah, I think 8's fair. 9 if we really stretch it, but I'm going to go for the 8. 2 big chances created, 3 key passes, had a couple of shots at goal. Looks like he's close to full match fitness now. He's probably not 100% there. He's probably looks sort of 80-85%. So maybe even another 2 gears from Barnes to come. But yeah, knitting some nice passes together with the other forwards, and it's going to give us a different flavour of the front 3, because it's something we've been massively lacking. We've a lot of the times this season we've either had Miggy's had a good game, but Gordon's been a little bit injured, or Gordon's had a great game and Miggy's been missing, and then maybe the centre forward is a bit quiet. Whereas now it looks like that was the first time since the start of the season, really, we've had a fully fit front 3. That's hard to say. Hopefully we can say it more often. Yeah, an 8 for Harvey Barnes. I'm excited to see what he's going to do in maybe 2 to 3 weeks' time. And I think the season's going to end a little bit in the wrong place for him, because he needs to get a run of games now.
Right, we'll move on to Anthony Gordon. 10 for me. Do we really need to go into why we're giving Anthony Gordon a 10? I don't think so. Alex?
2 assists and a goal. It's a 10 regardless of whether he played crap or not, isn't it? It's got to be a 10 just based on that. But he also played really well. 8 key passes, by the way, which is alien. His set pieces were pretty solid. A couple of front man sort of corners, early doors, but he tidied them up. 7 accurate crosses was really nice. Great physically, great in the counter attacks. Yeah, easiest 10 of the night.
Okay. Billy?
Yeah, it can't be anything else but a 10. I mean, to be fair to him, I thought Udogie had a fair game for Spurs in the back 4, which was abhorrent. But Anthony Gordon still took the piss out of him left, right, and centre, as he did with everyone that he went up against.
I loved how much stronger he was in that, leading up to the first goal when he just brushed him off the ball. Yeah, brilliant.
He's got a lot of strength for a slight of build chap. Outstanding. 10 out of 10, easily.
Right, Isak, 10 for me. Again, 2 goals, brilliant performance. Billy?
Yeah, 10 again. Outstanding finishing. Just a really, really top performance. Physically strong as well, which is something we haven't seen, as I said before. We haven't seen much of that from him, but he did yesterday, so I'll give him a 10.
Alex?
Yeah, 10. Interestingly, he tried 6 shots yesterday. 2 on target, 2 off, and 2 blocked. So 6 shots, and he made 6 accurate passes. So he had as many shots as he did accurate passes, which is quite funny. But he was in one of those moods where he didn't get too much of the ball, but he got one thing on his mind. And when he's in that mood, he's really dangerous. And that's why he scored 2 goals. Easy 10. And he won both of his aerial duels, which is just a nice thing to point out, because he's not always the greatest physically, but that was a nice touch.
Yeah, absolutely. Right, substitutions. Can you remind me who and when?
We had Livramento for Murphy on the 78th minute was the first one.
I'll go with a 7 for Tino. He put a brilliant ball in, by the way, for Isak. A couple of minutes after he was on the pitch, but I thought he was solid. 7 for me. Are we going? What do you think a 7's good enough? Yeah. Who was the next one?
Have you noticed what some of the lads do for him sometimes? When there's space on that right-hand side, this is every time Tino plays right back, they basically just lump a ball into space 40 yards in front of him and go,
for him to run onto, yeah.
Go on then. And you just see Tino go, oh, for God's sake. It's quite funny.
He did a fantastic bit of defending as well from a Dubravka fumble that was going out for corner, and he just controlled it on the byline and played it away. Fantastic call defending.
Dean was just asking if we thought the subs were too late. Personally, no, I don't, because we haven't got a game next week. I think Eddie was aware of that, and we're 4-0 up. 3-0 up at this time, obviously. We're cruising through the game. And let's be honest, when we did start tiring, Spurs still couldn't get through us. There was still no decent shots on goal. As far as a Tottenham fan's concerned, if you look at the game itself, lots of possession for Tottenham, but that was the game plan for Newcastle all along.
Let them have context of who the subs were, Paul, because Livramento and Hall are returning from injury, and I don't think he particularly
there wasn't a lot of option, was there?
Richie, Dummett, and White anyway. So, the next sub was Lewis Hall on the 88th minute for Harvey Barnes.
I thought he did well, but we can't mark any more of the subs because of the time they've been on the pitch. They're not on long enough.
And White.
Dummett didn't give a penalty away, so I'll give him 10 again.
Fair.
Well done. Phoenix Pork Pie. We haven't seen you for a while, matey. Pork Pie. Lads, you've missed scoring our best player in the first 15 minutes. Werner gets a 10 for his 2 misses. Can't disagree with that. Now I'm giving Eddie Howe a 10. Just brilliant. A masterclass yesterday from his tactics. I'm happy to give Eddie Howe a 10 again. It feels good to give him a 10. Are we all in agreement with a 10 for Eddie Howe, chaps?
Absolutely.
Well, we give him 10 for the West Ham game, so I'm going to give him 10 for that. Absolutely damn right.
Well, Hughes gave him a 10 for the West Ham game. Let's get things. You took a lot of hammer for that as well, if I'm not mistaken. However, definitely a 10 yesterday, no doubt about it. And absolutely fantastic. So there you go, guys. It's now time to reveal who the viewers' man of the match was. And let me just get this here. Right. Who
Fans
do we think?
While he's looking at that.
Sorry?
Fans get a 10 as well. The banter was exceptional. It's happened again. Tottenham Hotspur, it's happened again. Hilarious.
Yeah.
We Can See You Sneaking Out was also hilarious when they were trying to slowly exit. It was great banter from the fans, and it looked like a really wholesome day for everybody.
Right, we asked you who was man of the match. We've had over 1,000 votes on this tonight. That's incredible, but given the viewers we've had in tonight. Right, who do you think it is, gentlemen? Who have the viewers gone for man of the match?
It could be any of them. It's a really hard one this week.
Yes, have a guess.
I'm going to say Anderson.
Okay, Alex.
I think Anderson possibly deserves it for just general footballing reasons, but I think the business end of it, the goals and assists. Even I don't know. Between Isak and Gordon, who do I think they voted for? I'm going to go with Gordon because he contributed to 3 goals. I'll just keep it simple.
It is Anthony Gordon with 39% of the votes. Second on 26% was Isak, 25% for Anderson, 10 for Bruno. We should take a screenshot of that because I don't think we'll ever see Bruno at 10% man of the match votes again, given how this season's gone and he plays for us. But very interesting results there. So over 1,000 votes. Thank you very much for doing that. But that is it for tonight, guys. Thank you so much for everybody that's tuned in, for your new memberships. Hopefully some new subscribers on board as well. And of course, Super Chats, thank you so much for them. Mods, you've been fantastic again. Thank you to Alex and Billy. Thank you to Susan for putting that best bits together. Remember, that will be on the YouTube channel later on tonight if you want to go and have another watch of it. But as usual, it's thank you to you guys. It's absolutely phenomenal viewing figures tonight. It just shows how much the channel's grown as well, which gives us a real boost as well. But we really do appreciate it, guys. Thank you so much. But from us, enjoy the rest of your Sunday is what I'm trying to say. And keep your eye on the channel and socials as to what shows we've got coming up this week. Obviously, with Newcastle United not playing. But keep your eye. There will be live shows. There will be some good shows as well, as usual, from the Toon Review. But in the meantime, have a great Sunday evening, folks, and we'll catch you very soon. Good night.
How are the lads and lasses?
Come back and check out some breathing.